let's read through all of the common and uncommons of Outlaws of Thunder Junction in preparation for any pre-release events or release events that you may be attending. Or even if you're not attending IRL, you gotta get ready for those MTG Arena events. For reference here, I've got the MTG Goldfish price trends. So currently, the Outlaws of Thunder Junction main set is projected at about 389 tabletop value, and that's been on a bit of the decline these past couple days, reaching its peak right around the end of March, beginning of April. And then I'm using Scryfall to view all of the card images. These are strictly the common and uncommons, like I stated, and sorted by mana value, which has us starting with the lands. Let's dive right in. Abraded Bluffs, land desert. It ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Tap to add a red or white. Arid Archway, land desert. It ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, return a land you control to its owner's hand. If another desert was returned this way, surveil 1. Well, what is surveil? Surveil, you look at the top card of your library and you choose to either put it into your graveyard or leave it on top. It taps to add 2 colorless, which is the secret 6th color of Magic the Gathering. Bristling Backwoods, land desert. It ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Taps for red or green. Buckalick Ranch, land desert. Taps to add a colorless. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a mount spell. Pay 3 generic and tap to look at the top card of your library. If it's a mount card, you may reveal it, put it into your hand. If you don't put that card into your hand, you may put it on the bottom of your library instead. Conduit Pylons, land desert. When this card ETBs, surveil 1. Tap to add a colorless, 1 generic and tap to add 1 mana of any color. Creosote Heath, land desert. It ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Taps to add a green or white. Eroded Canyon, land desert. It ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Taps to add a blue or red. Festering Gulch, land desert. When it ETBs tapped, and when it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Tap to add a black or green. Then you've got your basic forest. Forlorn Flats, land desert. It ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, deals 1 damage to target opponent. Tap to add a white or black. Basic Island. Jagged Barrens, land desert. It ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Tap to add a black or red. Lonely Arroyo. It ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Tap to add white or blue. Lush Oasis, land desert. ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, deals 1 damage to target opponent. Tap to add green or blue. Mirage Mesa, land desert. It ETBs tapped. As it enters, choose a color. Tap to add 1 mana of the chosen color. Basic Mountain. Basic Plains. Sandstorm Verge, land desert. Tap to add a colorless. Pay 3 generic and tap. Target creature can't block this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Soured Springs, land desert. Soured Springs ETBs tapped. When it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to target opponent. Tap to add a blue or black. Basic Swamp. On to the next 20. Which apparently leaves the category of lands, and now we've got a green creature. How do I want to do this, actually? Curveball. I'm going to change up the settings here. Let's only consider the white. So now we're going to go in Wooburg order now that the lands are over. Armored Armadillo. 1 white. Creature, Armadillo. Ward 1. 3 and a white, armored armadillo gets plus X plus 0 until end of turn, where X is its toughness. It is a 0/4. Getaway Glamour, instant. 1 white, spree, choose 1 or more additional costs. +1 generic, to exile target non-token creature, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. +2 generic, destroy target creature if no other creature has greater power. Nurturing Pixie, creature, fairy rogue 1/1, costs 1 white, flying. When it ETBs, return up to 1 target non-fairy, non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. If a permanent was returned this way, put a +1/+1 counter on Nurturing Pixie. Requisition Raid, sorcery, 1 white, spree. +1 to destroy target artifact. +1 to destroy target enchantment. +1 to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature target player controls. Rustler Rampage, instant, costs 1 white, spree. +1 to untap all creatures target player controls. +1 target creature gains double strike until end of turn. Steer Clear, instant, costs 1 white. Steer Clear deals 2 damage to target attacking or blocking creature. Steer Clear deals 4 damage to that creature instead if you controlled a mount as you cast this spell. Bovine Intervention, instant, costs 1 generic and 1 white. Destroy target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 2/2 White Ox creature token. Ariette's Lullaby, sorcery, costs 1 generic and 1 white. Destroy target tapped creature. You gain 2 life. Frontier Seeker, creature, human scout, costs 1 and 1 white. 2/1. When Frontier Seeker enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a mount creature card or a plains card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the battlefield on the bottom of your library in a random order. Omen Port Vigilante, creature, human mercenary, costs 1 and a white, 2/2. Omen Port Vigilante has double strike as long as you've committed a crime this turn. To commit a crime, targeting opponents, anything they control, and or cards in their graveyards is a crime. Outlaw Medic, creature, human rogue, costs 1 and a white, 1/3. Lifelink, when Outlaw Medic dies, draw a card. Prairie Dog, creature, squirrel, costs 1 and a white, 2/2. Lifelink, at the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Prairie Dog. Pay 4 and a white until end of turn. If you would put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, put that many +1/+1/+1 counters on it instead. Sterling Keykeeper, creature, human mercenary, costs 1 and a white, 2/2. Pay 2 and tap to tap target non-mount creature. Take Up the Shield, instant, costs 1 and a white. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It gains lifelink and indestructible until end of turn. Trained Arinx, creature, cat beast mount, costs 1 and a white, 3/1. Whenever Trained Arinx attacks while saddled, it gains first strike until end of turn. Scry 1. Saddle 2. Tap any number of other creatures you control with total power 2 or more. This mount becomes saddled until end of turn. Saddle only as a sorcery. Holy cow! Creature, Ox Angel, costs 2 and a white, 2/2. Flash, flying. When Holy Cow ETBs, you gain 2 life and scry 1. Inventive Wingsmith, creature, dwarf artificer, costs 2 and 1 white. 2/4. At the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand this turn and Innovative Wingsmith doesn't have a flying counter on it, put a flying counter on it. Mystical Tether, enchantment, costs 2 and a white. You may cast Mystical Tether as though it had flash if you pay 2 generic more to cast it. When Mystical Tether ETBs, exile target, artifact, or creature an opponent controls until Mystic Tether leaves the battlefield. Sheriff of Safe Passage. Creature, human knight, 0/0. Costs 2 and a white. Sheriff of Safe Passage ETBs with a +1/+1 counter on it, plus an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each other creature you control. Plot, 1 and a white. You may pay 1 and a white and exile this card from your hand. Cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost. Plot only as a sorcery. Thunder Lasso. Artifact equipment. Costs 2 and a white. When Thunder Lasso ETBs, attach it to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Equip 2. Vengeful Townsfolk. Creature, human citizen, 3/3. Costs 2 and a white. Whenever one or more other creatures you control die, put a +1/+1 counter on Vengeful Townsfolk. Bridled Bighorn. Creature, sheep mount, 3/4. Costs 3 and a white. Vigilance. Whenever Bridled Bighorn attacks, while saddled, create a 1/1 white sheep creature token. Saddle 2. Lassoed by the Law. Enchantment. Costs 3 and a white. When Lassoed by the Law ETBs, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until Lassoed by the Law leaves the battlefield. When Lassoed by the Law ETBs, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with tap. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Prosperity Tycoon. Creature, human noble, 4/2. Costs 3 and a white. When Prosperity Tycoon ETBs, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. Pay 2, sack a token. Prosperity Tycoon gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it. Wanted Griffin. Creature, Griffin, 3/2. Costs 3 and a white. Flying. When Wanted Griffin dies, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. Shepherd of the Clouds. Creature, Pegasus, 4/3. Costs 4 and a white. Flying Vigilance. When Shepherd of the Clouds ETBs, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to your hand. Return that card to the battlefield instead if you control a mount. Stagecoach Security. Creature, human soldier, 4/5. Costs 4 and a white. When Stagecoach Security ETBs, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn. Plot, 3 and a white. Sterling Supplier. Creature, bird soldier, 3/4. Costs 4 and a white. Flying. When Sterling Supplier ETBs, put a +1/+1 counter on another target creature you control. Bounding Felidar. Creature, cat beast mount, 4/7. Costs 5 and a white. Whenever Bounding Felidar attacks while saddled, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control. You gain 1 life for each of those creatures. Saddle 2. That now moves us to blue. Herring Strix. Creature, bird, 1/1. Costs a blue. Flying. When Harrier Strix ETBs, tap target permanent. Pay 2 and a blue, draw a card, then discard a card. Jailbreak Scheme. Sorcery. Costs a blue and spree. +3, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. It can't be blocked this turn. +2, target artifact or creature's owner puts it on the battlefield or bottom of their library. Metamorphic Blast. Instant. Costs a blue and spree. +1 until end of turn, target creature becomes a white rabbit with base power and toughness, 0/1. +3, target player draws 2 cards. Phantom Interference. Instant. Costs blue and spree. +3, create a 2/2 white spirit creature token with flying. +1, counter target spell unless its controller pays 2. Take the Fall. Instant. Costs a blue. Target creature gets -1 -0 until end of turn. It gets -4 -0 until end of turn instead if you control an outlaw. Outlaws are assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks. Draw a card. Canyon Crab. Creature, crab, 0/5. Costs 1 and a blue. Pay 1 and a blue. Canyon Crab gets +2, -2 until end of turn. At the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand this turn, draw a card, then discard a card. Emergent Haunting enchantment costs 1 and a blue. At the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand this turn, and Emergent Haunting isn't a creature, it becomes a 3/3 spirit creature with flying in addition to its other types. Pay 2 and a blue, surveil 1. Failed Fording instant costs 1 and a blue. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you control a desert, surveil 1. Fleeting Reflection instant costs 1 and a blue. Target creature you control gains hexproof until end of turn. Untap that creature. Until end of turn, it becomes a copy of up to one other target creature. Razzle Dazzler creature human wizard 1/2 costs 1 and a blue. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Razzle Dazzler. It can't be blocked this turn. Shifting Grift sorcery costs blue spree +2 exchange control of 2 target creatures +1 exchange control of 2 target artifacts +1 exchange control of 2 target enchantments. Spring Splasher creature frog beast 2/1 costs 1 and a blue. Whenever Spring Splasher attacks, target creature defending player controls gets -3/-0 until end of turn. Deep Muck Desperado creature Homerid Mercenary 2/4 costs 2 and a blue. Whenever you commit a crime, each opponent mills 3 cards. This ability triggers only once each turn. Targeting opponents, anything they control, and/or cards in their graveyards is a crime. Geyser Drake creature Drake 2/3 costs 2 and a blue. Flying. As long as it's not your turn, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Nimble Brigand creature human rogue 1/3 costs 2 and a blue. Nimble Brigand can't be blocked if you've committed a crime this turn. Whenever Nimble Brigand deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Seize the Secrets sorcery costs 2 and a blue. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you've committed a crime this turn. Draw 2 cards. Shackle Slinger creature human soldier 3/2 costs 2 and a blue. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, choose target creature an opponent controls. If it's tapped, put a stun counter on it. Otherwise, tap it. Slick Shot Lockpicker creature human rogue 2/3 costs 2 and a blue. When Slick Shot Lockpicker enters the battlefield, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana value. You may cast that card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. Plot 2 and a blue. You may pay the plot cost and exile this card from your hand. Cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost. Plot only as a sorcery. Slickshot Vault Buster creature human rogue 1/4 costs 2 and a blue. Vigilance. Slickshot Vault Buster gets +2/+0 as long as you've committed a crime this turn. Daring Thunder Thief creature Turtle Rogue 4/4 costs 3 and a blue. Flash. Daring Thunder Thief ETBs tapped. Lone Shark creature Shark Rogue 3/4 costs 3 and a blue. When Lone Shark ETBs, if you've cast 2 or more spells this turn, draw a card. Plot 3 and a blue. Outlaw Stitcher creature human warlock 1/4 costs 3 and a blue. When Outlaw Stitcher ETBs, create a 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature token. Then put 2 +1/+1 counters on that token for each spell you've cast this turn other than your first. Plot 4 and a blue. Plan the Heist sorcery 2 blue. Surveil 3 if you have no cards in hand. Then draw 3 cards. Plot 3 and a blue. Stop Cold enchantment aura costs 3 and a blue. Flash. Enchant creature or artifact. When Stop Cold ETBs, tap enchanted permanent. Enchanted permanent loses all abilities and doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Visage Bandit creature Shapeshifter Rogue 2/2 costs 3 and a blue. You may have Visage Bandit ETB as a copy of a creature you control, except it's a Shapeshifter Rogue in addition to its other types. Plot 2 and a blue. Jin of Fool's Fall creature Jin 4/3 costs 4 and a blue. Flying. Plot 3 and a blue. Marauding Sphinx creature Sphinx Rogue 3/5 Costs 3 blue blue. Flying Vigilance Ward 2. Whenever you commit a crime, surveil 2. This ability triggers only once each turn. Perilous Rope Master. Creature, human rogue 4/4. Costs 4 and a blue. When Perilous Rope Master ETBs, return up to 1 target tapped creature to its owner's hand. This town ain't big enough. Instant. Costs 4 and a blue. This spell costs 3 less to cast if it targets a permanent you control. Return up to 2 target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. That concludes the blue. Let's move on to black. Corrupted Conviction. Instant. Costs black. As an additional cost to cast this spell, sack a creature. Draw 2 cards. Forsaken Miner. Creature, skeleton rogue 2/2, costs black. Forsaken Miner can't block. Whenever you commit a crime, you may pay black. If you do, return Forsaken Miner from your graveyard to the battlefield. Nezumi Linkbreaker. Creature, rat warlock 1/1, costs black. When Nezumi Linkbreaker dies, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with tap target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Skullduggery. Instant. Costs a black. Until end of turn, target creature you control gets +1/+1, and target creature an opponent controls gets -1/-1. Unfortunate Accident. Instant. Costs a black and spree. +2 and a black. Destroy target creature. +1. Create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. Binding Negotiation. Sorcery. Costs 1 and a black. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, they discard it. Otherwise, you may put a face-up exiled card they own into their graveyard. Blood Hustler. Creature, vampire rogue 1/1. Costs 1 and a black. Whenever you commit a crime, put a +1/+1 counter on Blood Hustler. This ability triggers only once each turn. Pay 3 and a black, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Desert's Dew. Instant. Costs 1 and a black. Target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. It gets an additional -1/-1 until end of turn for each desert you control. Desperate Bloodseeker. Creature, vampire 2/2, costs 1 and a black. Lifelink. When Desperate Bloodseeker ETBs, target player mills 2 cards. Fake Your Own Death. Instant. Costs 1 and a black. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0 and gains. When this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, and you create a treasure token. Lively Dirge. Sorcery. Costs 1 and a black. Spree. +1. Search your library for a card, put it into your graveyard, then shuffle. +2. Return up to 2 creature cards with total mana value 4 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Mourner's Surprise. Sorcery. Costs 1 and a black. Return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. Raven of Fell Omens. Creature, bird 1/2, costs 1 and a black. Flying. Whenever you commit a crime, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. This ability triggers only once each turn. Servant of the Stinger. Creature, human warlock 1/3. Costs 1 and a black. Death Touch. Whenever Servant of the Stinger deals combat damage to a player, if you've committed a crime this turn, you may sacrifice Servant of the Stinger. If you do, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Shoot the Sheriff. Instant. Costs 1 and a black. Destroy target non-outlaw creature. Assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks are outlaws. Everyone else is fair game. Treasure Dredger. Creature, human rogue 2/2, 1 and a black. Pay 1 and tap, pay 1 life to create a treasure token. Black Snag Buzzard. Creature, bird 2/1, costs 2 and a black. Flying. Black Snag Buzzard ETBs with a +1/+1 counter on it if a creature died this turn. Plot 1 and a black. You may pay the plot cost and exile this card from your hand. Cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost. Plot only as a sorcery. Neutralize the Guards. Instant. Pay costs 2 and a black. Creatures target opponent controls gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Surveil 2. Rakish Crew, enchantment, costs 2 and a black. When Rakish Crew ETBs, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. Whenever an outlaw you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. Rattleback Apothecary, creature, Gorgon Warlock 3/2, costs 2 and a black. Death Touch. Whenever you commit a crime, target creature you control gains your choice of menace or lifelink until end of turn. Unscrupulous Contractor, creature, Human Assassin 3/2, costs 2 and a black. When Unscrupulous Contractor ETBs, you may sack a creature. When you do, target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life. Plot, 2 and a black. Vault Plunderer, creature, Human Rogue 3/1, costs 2 and a black. When Vault Plunderer ETBs, target player draws a card and loses 1 life. Boneyard Desecrator, creature, zombie mercenary 3/4, costs 3 and a black. Menace. Pay 1 and a black, sack another creature to put a +1/+1 counter on Boneyard Desecrator. If an outlaw was sacked this way, create a treasure token. Consuming Ashes, instant. Pay 2 black, exile target creature. If it had mana value 3 or less, surveil 2. Rictus Robber, creature, zombie rogue 4/3. Costs 3 and a black. When Rictus Robber ETBs, if a creature died this turn, create a 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature token. Plot, 2 and a black. Rooftop Assassin, creature, vampire assassin 2/2, costs 3 and a black. Flash, flying lifelink. When Rooftop Assassin ETBs, destroy target creature and opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. Overzealous Muscle, creature, ogre mercenary 5/4, costs 4 and a black. Whenever you commit a crime during your turn, Overzealous Muscle gains indestructible until end of turn. Ambush Gigapede, creature, insect 6/2, costs 4 black. Flash. When Ambush Gigapede ETBs, target creature and opponent controls gets -2/-2 until end of turn. Hollow Marauder, creature, specter rogue 4/2, costs 6 and a black. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Flying. When Hollow Marauder ETBs, any number of target opponents each discard a card. For each of those opponents who didn't discard a card, with mana value 4 or greater, draw a card. That concludes the black, so now on to red. Explosive Derailment, instant, red spree. +2, Explosive Derailment deals 4 damage to target creature. +2, destroy target artifact. Quick Draw, instant, red. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains first strike until end of turn. Creatures target opponent controls lose first strike and double strike until end of turn. Reckless Lackey, creature, Goblin Pirate 1/2, costs red. First strike, haste, costs 2 and a red, sack Reckless Lackey, draw a card, and create a treasure token. Brimstone Roundup, enchantment, costs 1 and a red. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token with tap. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Plot, 2 and a red. You may pay the plot cost and exile this card from your hand. Cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost. Plot only as a sorcery. Caught in the Crossfire, instant, costs red spree. +1, Caught in the Crossfire deals 2 damage to each outlaw creature. Assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks are outlaws. +1, Caught in the Crossfire deals 2 damage to each non-outlaw creature. Cunning Coyote, creature, coyote 2/2, costs 1 and a red. Haste. When Cunning Coyote ETBs, another target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains haste until end of turn. Plot, 1 and a red. Deadeye Duelist, creature, human assassin 1/3, costs 1 and a red. Reach. Pay 1 and tap it. Deadeye Duelist deals 1 damage to target opponent. Demonic Ruckus, enchantment aura. Costs 1 and a red. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has menace and trample. When Demonic Ruckus is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Plot, red. Discerning Peddler, creature, human rogue 2/2, costs 1 and a red. When Discerning Peddler ETBs, you may discard a card. If you do, Draw a card. Highway Robbery. Sorcery. Costs 1 and a red. You may discard a card or sack a land. If you do, draw 2 cards. Plot 1 and a red. Magebane Lizard. Creature Lizard. 1/4. Costs 1 and a red. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Magebane Lizard deals damage to that player equal to the number of non-creature spells they've cast this turn. Resilient Roadrunner. Creature. Bird. 2/2. Costs 1 and a red. Haste. Protection from coyotes. Pay 3. Resilient Roadrunner can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. Return the Favor. Instant. Costs red spree. +1. Copy target instant spell, sorcery spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. +1. Change the target of target spell or ability with a single target. Scorching Shot. Sorcery. Costs red. Scorching Shot deals 5 damage to target creature. Thunder Salvo. Instant. Costs 1 and a red. Thunder Salvo deals X damage to target creature where X is 2 plus the number of other spells you've cast this turn. Ferocification. Enchantment. Costs 2 and a red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one. Either target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn, or target creature you control gains menace and haste until end of turn. Gyla Courser. Creature. Lizard Mount. 4/2. Costs 2 and a red. When Gyla Courser attacks, while saddled, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. Saddle 1. Irascible Wolverine. Creature. Wolverine. 3/2. Costs 2 and a red. When Irascible Wolverine ETBs, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card. Plot 2 and a red. Longhorn Sharpshooter. Creature. Minotaur Rogue. 3/3. Costs 2 and a red. Reach. When Longhorn Sharpshooter becomes plotted, it deals 2 damage to any target. Plot 3 and a red. Mine Raider. Creature. Human Rogue. 3/2. Costs 2 and a red. Trample. When Mine Raider ETBs, if you control another outlaw, create a treasure token. Outlaws Fury. Instant. Costs 2 and a red. Creatures you control get +2/+0 until end of turn. If you control an outlaw, exile the top card of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play that card. Prickly Pear. Creature. Plant Mercenary. 2/2. Costs 2 and a red. When Prickly Pear ETBs, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. Scale Storm Summoner. Creature. Human Warlock. 3/3. Costs 2 and a red. Whenever Scale Storm Summoner attacks, create a 3/1 red dinosaur creature token if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Take for a Ride. Sorcery. Costs 2 and a red. Take for a Ride has flash as long as you've committed a crime this turn. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Quilled Charger. Creature. Porcupine Mount. 4/3. Costs 3 and a red. Whenever Quilled Charger attacks while saddled, it gets +1/+2 and gains menace until end of turn. Saddle 2. Rodeo Pyromancers. Creature. Human Mercenary. 3/4. Costs 3 and a red. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, add red. Hellspur Brute. Creature. Minotaur Mercenary. 5/4. Costs 4 and a red. Affinity for Outlaws. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each assassin, mercenary, pirate, rogue, and or warlock you control. Trample. Iron Fist Pulverizer. Creature. Giant Warrior. 4/5. Costs 4 and a red. Reach. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, Iron Fist Pulverizer deals 2 damage to target opponent. Scry 1. Trick Shot. Instant. Costs 4 and a red. Trick Shot deals 6 damage to target creature and 2 damage to up to 1 other target creature token. And that concludes the red common and uncommons from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Moving on to the green. Ankle Biter. Creature. Snake. 1/1. Costs green. Death Touch. Snakeskin Veil. Instant. Costs green. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains hexproof until end of turn. Trash the Town. Instant. Costs green. Spree. +2. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. +1. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. +1. Until end of turn, target creature gains. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw 2 cards. Aloe Alchemist. Creature, plant warlock, 3/2. Costs 1 and a green. Trample. When Aloe Alchemist becomes plotted, target creature gets +3/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Plot, 1 and a green. You may pay the plot cost and exile this card from your hand. Cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost. Plot only as a sorcery. Bristlepack Sentry. Creature, plant wolf, 3/3. Costs 1 and a green. Defender. As long as you control a creature with power 4 or greater, Bristlepack Sentry can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Dance of the Tumbleweeds. Sorcery. Costs 1 and a green. Spree. +1. Search your library for a basic land card or desert card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. +3. Create an XX green elemental creature token where X is the number of lands you control. Gold Rush. Instant. Costs 1 and a red. Create a treasure token. Until end of turn, up to 1 target creature gets +2/+2 for each treasure you control. Hard Bristle Bandit. Creature, plant rogue, 1/1. Costs 1 and a green. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Whenever you commit a crime, untap Hard Bristle Bandit. This ability triggers only once each turn. Targeting opponents, anything they control, and or cards in their graveyards is a crime. Hard Bristle Bandit. Creature, plant rogue, 1/1. Costs 1 and a green. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Whenever you commit a crime, untap Hard Bristle Bandit. This ability triggers only once each turn. Intrepid Stablemaster. Creature, human scout, 2/2. Costs 1 and a green. Reach. Tap to add green. Tap. Add 2 mana of any one color. Spend this mana only to cast mount or vehicle spells. Rakkus Entertainer. Creature, plant bard, 2/2. Costs 1 and a green. Pay 1 tap to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control that ETB'd this turn. Stubborn Burrowfiend. Creature, badger beast mount, 2/2. Costs 1 and a green. Whenever Stubborn Burrowfiend becomes saddled for the first time each turn, mill 2 cards. Then Stubborn Burrowfiend gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Saddle 2. Throw from the Saddle. Sorcery. Costs 1 and a green. Target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Put a +1/+1 counter on it instead if it's a mount. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Tumbleweed Rising. Sorcery. Costs 1 and a green. Create an XX green elemental creature token where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Plot 2 and a green. Voracious Varmint. Creature, Varmint, 2/2. Costs 1 and a green. Vigilance. Pay 1, sack Voracious Varmint to destroy target artifact or enchantment. Beastbond Outcaster. Creature, human druid, 3/3. Costs 2 and a green. When Beastbond Outcaster ETBs, if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, draw a card. Plot 1 and a green. Drover Grizzly. Creature, bear mount, 4/2. Costs 2 and a green. Whenever Drover Grizzly attacks while saddled, creatures you control gain trample until end of turn. Saddle 1. Free Strider Commando. Creature, centaur mercenary, 3/3. Costs 2 and a green. Free Strider Commando ETBs with 2 +1/+1 counters on it if it wasn't cast or no mana was spent to cast it. Plot 3 and a green. Outcaster Greenblade. Creature, human mercenary, 1/2. Costs 2 and a green. When Outcaster Greenblade and ETBs, search your library for a basic land card or a desert card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Outcaster Greenblade gets +1/+1 for each desert you control. Patient Naturalist. Creature, human scout, 2/3. Costs 2 and a green. When Patient Naturalist ETBs, mill 3 cards. Put a land card from among the milled cards into your hand. If you can't, create a treasure token. Rambling Possum. Sorry, I had to pause here for a second to double check the spelling of possum. That's what I thought. Informal, okay. Rambling Possum, creature Possum Mount, 3/3, costs 2 and a green. Whenever Rambling Possum attacks while saddled, it gets +1/+2 until end of turn. Then you may return any number of creatures that saddled it this turn to their owner's hand. Saddle 1. Giant Beaver, creature Beaver Mount, 4/4, costs 3 and a green. Vigilance. Whenever Giant Beaver attacks while saddled, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature that saddled it this turn. Saddle 3. Map the Frontier, sorcery, costs 3 and a green. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and or desert cards, put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Reach for the Sky, enchantment aura, costs 3 and a green. Flash, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +3/+2 and has reach. When Reach for the Sky is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, draw a card. Rise of the Varmints, sorcery, costs 3 and a green. Create X 2/1 green varmint creature tokens, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Plot 2 and a green. Full Steam Ahead, sorcery, costs 3 green. Until end of turn, each creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains trample, and this creature can't be blocked by more than one creature. Spinewoods Paladin, creature Human Knight, 5/4, costs 4 and a green. Trample. When Spinewoods Paladin ETBs, you gain 3 life. Plot 3 and a green. Betrayal at the Vault, instant, costs 4 green. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each of 2 other target creatures. Cactarantula, creature Plant Spider, 6/5, costs 4 green. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a desert. Reach. Whenever Cactarantula becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card. Spinewoods Armadillo, creature Armadillo, 7/7, costs 4 green. Reach, ward 3. Pay 1 and a green, discard Spinewoods Armadillo, search your library for a basic land card or desert card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You gain 3 life. That'll conclude the green common and uncommons. Onward to colorless. And I cannot remember the code off the top of my head for colorless spells, so I'm going to go all the way back. So that I can uncheck white and check colorless. Not going to reread the lands. The lands were at the beginning of this video. Lava Spur Boots, artifact equipment, costs 1. Equipped creature gets +1/+0 and has haste and ward 1. Equip 1. Boombox, artifact, costs 2. 6 tap, sack Boombox, destroy up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, and up to 1 target land. Gold Pan, artifact equipment, costs 2. When Gold Pan enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Equip 1. Mobile Homestead, artifact vehicle, 3/3, costs 2. Mobile Homestead has haste as long as you control a mount. Whenever Mobile Homestead attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield tapped. Crew 2. Silver Deputy, artifact creature mercenary, 1/2, costs 2. When Silver Deputy ETBs, you may search your library for a basic land card or a desert card, reveal it, then shuffle and put it on top. Tap target creature you control, gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. Tomb Trawler, artifact creature golem, 04, costs 2. Pay 2, put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. Bandit's Hall, artifact, costs 3. Whenever you commit a crime, put a loot counter on Bandit's Hall. This ability triggers only once each turn. Targeting opponents, anything they control, and or cards in their graveyards is a crime. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Tap 2, pay 2 and tap. Remove 2 loot counters from Bandit's Hall to draw a card. Oasis Gardener, artifact creature scarecrow, 2/2, costs 3. When Oasis Gardener ETBs, you gain 2 life. Tap to add 1 mana of any color. Red Rocks Sentinel, artifact creature golem, 2/4, costs 3. Defender, pay 2, tap, sack a land, draw a card, and create a treasure token. Sterling Hound, artifact creature dog, 3/2, costs 3. When Sterling Hound ETBs, surveil 2. Luxurious Locomotive, artifact vehicle 6/5, costs 5. Whenever Luxurious Locomotive attacks, create a treasure token for each creature that crewed it this turn. Crew 1, activate only once each turn. Now I need to figure out how to best display the multicolored spells. Gem Lightfoot, Sky Explorer. Legendary creature, Human Scout 3/3, costs 2 white-blue, Flying Vigilance. At the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand this turn, draw a card. Wrangler of the Damned, creature, Human Soldier 1/4, costs 3 white-blue, Flash. At the beginning of your end step, if you haven't cast a spell from your hand this turn, create a 2/2 white spirit creature token with flying. Intimidation Campaign. Enchantment. Costs 1 blue-black. When Intimidation Campaign ETBs, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life, and you draw a card. Whenever you commit a crime, you may return Intimidation Campaign to its owner's hand. Lazav, Familiar Stranger. Legendary creature, Shapeshifter 1/4, costs 1 blue-black. Whenever you commit a crime, put a +1/+1 counter on Lazav, Familiar Stranger. Then, you may exile a card from a graveyard. If a creature card was exiled this way, you may have Lazav become a copy of that card until end of turn. This ability triggers only once each turn. Vile Smasher, Gleeful Grenadier. Legendary creature, Goblin Mercenary 3/2, costs black-red. Whenever another outlaw ETBs under your control, Vile Smasher, Gleeful Grenadier deals 1 damage to target opponent. At Knife Point, enchantment, costs 1 black-red. As long as it's your turn, outlaws you control have first strike. Whenever you commit a crime, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Jolene Plundering Pugilist. Legendary creature, Human Mercenary 4/2. Costs 1 red-green. Whenever you attack with 1 or more creatures with power 4 or greater, create a treasure token. Pay 1 and a red, sack a treasure. Jolene Plundering Pugilist deals 1 damage to any target. Cactus Folk Sure Shot. Creature, Plant Mercenary 4/4, costs 2 red-green. Reach, Ward 2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, other creatures you control with power 4 or greater gain trample and haste until end of turn. Miriam Herd Whisperer. Legendary creature, Human Druid 3/2, costs green and a white. As long as it's your turn, mounts and vehicles you control have hexproof. Whenever a mount or vehicle you control attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Congregation Griff. Creature, Hippogriff Mount 1/4, costs 1 green and a white. Flying lifelink. Whenever Congregation Griff attacks while saddled, it gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of mounts you control. Saddle 3. Ruthless Lawbringer. Creature, Vampire Assassin 3/2, costs 1 white-black. When Ruthless Lawbringer ETBs, you may sack another creature. When you do, destroy target non-land permanent. Baron Bertram Greywater. Legendary creature, Vampire Noble 3/4, costs 2 white-black. Whenever 1 or more tokens ETB under your control, create a 1/1 black Vampire Rogue creature token with lifelink. This ability triggers only once each turn. Pay 1 and a black, sack another creature or artifact, draw a card. Honest Rutstein. Legendary creature, Human Warlock 3/2, costs 1 black-green. When Honest Rutstein ETBs, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Badlands Revival. Sorcery, costs 3 black-green. Return up to 1 target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Doc Arlock, Grizzled Genius, legendary creature, Bear Druid, 2/3. Costs green-blue. Spells you cast from your graveyard or from exile cost 2 less to cast. Plotting cards from your hand costs 2 less. Make your own luck. Sorcery. Costs 3 green-blue. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may exile a non-land card from among them. If you do, it becomes plotted. Put the rest into your hand. Slick Sequence. Instant. Costs blue-red. Slick Sequence deals 2 damage to any target. If you've cast another spell this turn, draw a card. Crown Violent Cacophony. Legendary creature. Zombie Horror 2/3. Costs 2 blue-red. Flying. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Crown Violent Cacophony and draw a card. Form a Posse. Sorcery. Costs X red white. Create X 1/1 red mercenary creature tokens. Eartha Joe, Frontier Mentor. Legendary creature, Core Advisor, 2/4. Costs 2 red white. When Eartha Joe, Frontier Mentor, ETBs, create a 1/1 red mercenary creature token. Whenever you activate an ability that targets a creature or player, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy. And that should wrap up all of the common and uncommons from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Now for some general pre-release sealed tips that are coming off the top of my head. My usual approach when I crack open my sealed packs for a pre-release event is, if I haven't already done something like this where I've read through every card and kind of at a glance gather what the name of the card and its abilities and what its effect it's going to have on the game are, I'm going to read every card that I open. So there's 6 packs, should be 14 actual playable cards in each pack. So that is a good bit to read. It's 84 cards that you're going to want to sift through, and you are on a clock. You're only going to have 20 to maybe 30 minutes tops to open all your packs, build your deck, sleeve it up, and be ready for your first match. So don't diddle-daddle, don't dilly-dally, be on top of it, go fast. An approach that I'm thinking of trying for tonight, for the pre-release event that I'm planning to go to, is to stash away the rares out of my pack. So when you open the pack, you should be, I think it's either the last card or second to last, third to last, should be the rare or mythic slot. So just go ahead, ignore those for the last bit, because sometimes those will bias you to pick a color that maybe there's not the support and strength that you have in the common and uncommons. And as you've seen, like, and if we do the math, so 84 total cards, only 6 of them are guaranteed to be rare or mythic. You know, the more, on average, the more powerful cards. So what you really need is to have enough support from your commons and uncommons to have a strong enough pre-release deck to compete and try to get max wins. Because at least any pre-release event that I've been to, payout, prize support is based on performance. More wins, more prize support. And who doesn't want more prizes? So if you can ignore those rare and mythics, put them off to the side, then just read through your commons and uncommons. First, look for removal. What ways do you have to either lock down a creature? Do you have a way to kill creatures, exile creatures? Because your opponent is going to have creatures and you will have to answer those creatures. Then start evaluating what power level of creatures you have access to. Usually what I'll do is I'll divide them into the 5 piles. Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, and green. And I'll kind of look and go, oh, I don't feel like this is going to be an impactful card for my deck. Put it off to the side pile. That way I'm looking at only the impactful cards broken down by color. And then really I just pick the 2 colors with the largest piles. And then hopefully I've got maybe some of the multicolored cards, but if not, no big deal. Now that I kind of have a sense of the support I have for my commons and uncommons, I can go ahead and take a look at what rares and mythics I have revealed. If maybe there was like a tie, let's say, oh, I've got plenty of blue support in common and uncommons, but I could go white or maybe I could go green. So now my rares and mythics can be my deciding factor. Oh, look, I've got this bomb, this absolute game wrecker of a card in white as a rare or mythic. That's going to lean me towards, make my decision to be a white-blue deck versus a blue-green deck, or vice versa. Maybe you take a peek at your rares and mythics and now you discover like, oh, wow, okay, I've got a really balmy green card. Now your decision's made for you. But let's imagine that in reverse. Let's say you immediately went straight to the rare and mythic and oh my goodness, here is just an absolute nightmare for my opponents to deal with as a black rare and mythic. And then you go down and break through and oh my goodness, you hardly have any impactful black common and uncommons. So now you're faced with a choice. Do you build a suboptimal deck just so that you can play your bomb, or do you put the bomb on the shelf and build a deck that's going to maximize your chance to win? It's a choice that you're gonna have to make. And sometimes you just have to bench your bombs, at least for sealed. If you're fortunate enough to be able to do a draft event for pre-release, then you can better steer your draft should you open a bomb in packs 1 or 2. Sometimes even pack 3, but may the Lord have mercy on your soul if you are trying to completely pivot in pack 3 in a draft. And that is going to conclude this pre-release prep for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, a read-through of all of the common and uncommons from the newest Magic the Gathering set. If you are looking to purchase any of these cards, please pop over to Valhalla Cards and Gaming, links in the description below, to purchase any of your Magic the Gathering card needs. May you draw well and mulligan very little.